Hey there everyone, welcome to the channel and welcome to the video. Villains in anime are often seen as monsters, depraved evil beings that do terrible things, unjustified and most certainly villainous. But I am here to once again show you that these alleged villains are not as guilty as you might think. I am the Spectre, the defense lawyer responsible for ensuring that my clients do not face imprisonment. I will start with a compilation of last week's villain defense videos, then spend the remainder of the video giving extended commentary on how I arrive at these conclusions. Let's begin with the intro and get started. Looks like we're defending Blackbeard today, though I see no real way to defend this guy. He's a criminal by default. He steals, he murders, he hired atrocious people. Seems very pirate-like to me. The only defense I could muster up is, the government isn't any better. They've done everything I stated above and worse. Yes, Blackbeard is pirate scum, but the world government are scummy pigs. The fact he's actively antagonizing them is a bonus in my book. Given that both parties are corrupt and evil, I'll sit here and wait to see which side wins, then I'll just side with them. You call it sitting, I call it betting on victory. Today we are defending Goku Black, also known as Zamasu, and this trial is a very interesting one. My client is accused of wiping out the entirety of the Dragon Ball cosmos. He, allegedly, wiped out countless civilizations and species, then made his way to Earth to begin the eradication. Reports say he was saving it for last. Excuse me while I check my notes here. Oh, interesting. Witnesses say they saw Son Goku do these crimes. What's that? He stole Goku's body? Do you have a biological way to show me that this body is possessed by Zamasu? You don't, and his name is Goku Black, so just Goku with a good fashion sense. Regardless, the reason my client couldn't make it to the session is because he was erased, and so was the timeline, which means all evidence is now gone. But you know what's funny? Zeno did everything my client did, but he's not hated for it. Fascinating, isn't it? It seems this trial is run by a biased jury. Pain is one of my favorite villains in anime, so defending him is going to be a true delight to me. Nagato lived his entire childhood suffering from the effects of war, along with Conan and Yahiko. They were helped by Jiraiya and eventually grew up to build the good Akatsuki. They wanted nothing more than peace for their village, until Danzo saw them and decided to play the greatest game of instigating. So the creation of the Akatsuki is all on Danzo, and even then, Pain actually committed no crime still. He became the absolute ruler and protector of his village, keeping it from outside forces. The one real big crime he committed was flattening the leaf. Wait, everyone came back to life. So no murder charges? Alright. What about the property damage? You can just chalk that up to collateral damage during times of war. I mean, what are you going to do? Make a dead guy pay a fine? Oh, and taking out Jiraiya, that was legal by the way. Jiraiya was an illegal spy entering a village he didn't belong to during a time of war. He had that coming, that's all I'm gonna say. Today we are defending Turbo Granny. Let me look at the evidence real quick.
I'll let you suckle my teats, boy.
Huh?
If you let me gobble your dung.
Oh, fuck no. We have a code Hisoka on our hands, people. Damn it. Well, good thing I came equipped. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we currently have 0 laws on spirits, aliens, or the supernatural, but we do have laws on trespassing and messing with holy and/or historical sites, meaning not only can we not prosecute Turbo Granny, but we can prosecute both Okarun and Miss Ayase. How's that for a plot twist? Time to defend Hisoka Morrow. You've all waited long enough. Let me start by saying that I don't condone or share my client's views on things. I'm just a representative. Is Hisoka guilty of the act of murder? Do you have any proof? Eyewitnesses? No. Everything within the Hunter trial was legal. They all signed up for it willingly. It's like dying during boxing. No one gets a guilty verdict. If you bring up the death of the Zoldyck butler, I will ask you to provide proof or an eyewitness, and you will have neither, so please, sit down. Let's now address this. Oh dear. Hisoka isn't attracted to children, he's attracted to fighting. The very concept of a good fight makes Hisoka excited, and strong characters clearly get him over the edge. There's evidence of this. He's highly interested in beating Crollo, very keen on testing Illumi's boundaries, and most importantly, I want you to pay attention to this clip.
I just can't wait to break you. Oh, but no, not yet. More, until it's almost a shame to destroy you.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Until you've matured.
Look at him go, Puff!
Until you've reached soaring new heights. Patience.
A vicious assault!
Most of you heard him just being a pervert, and you aren't exactly wrong, but his wording was what I needed you to focus on. He makes it very clear that not yet, not until you've matured, until it's almost a shame to break you. Hisoka isn't interested in this child here. He's interested in what Gon will become later on in life. He wants to fight Gon at his very peak, as he puts it, when the fruit is ready to be plucked. Now yes, fighting a child is highly illegal, but think about it. Did Hisoka ever fight Gon outside a tournament or licensed testing ground? There you go. You can charge him for inappropriate behavior towards minors, and I will suggest a restraining order instead of jail time, since he hasn't directly shown that he's a threat to children, and only ever interacts with Gon when Gon himself chases after Hisoka. Finally, this scene. Honestly, I have no defense here, other than Hisoka was intentionally trying to make these two uncomfortable for his own amusement. Funny how it also happens right after Bisky says Hisoka can't be trusted, so Hisoka generously reminds them that having their backs turned was a mistake if they cannot trust him. What's my final verdict? Hisoka is a potential threat to anyone strong enough to interest his battle tendencies. But other than that, you can't exactly prove his guilt in any way. I'm going to leave it there. This video is already longer than my usual trial videos as it is, so I'll see you in tomorrow's trial. Light Yagami is waiting. Today we are defending Light Yagami. Look, I'm not going to be wasting your time. He's guilty. I can stand here and tell you that he only wiped out criminals, but I'd be lying. He took out plenty of innocents too, an entire FBI team and several more people. He is as guilty as it gets. But you may be asking yourself, why is this a defense video if I had no defense at all? It's simple really. My client provided me with the right tools for the job. You see that sign-in sheet you all wrote your names down on? That was a Death Note page. You thought you were signing in. No, you were signing out. Of living, that is. But for what it's worth, you all played the game well. It's unfortunate that you didn't realize you were playing any game at all. It'll be over in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. A quick reminder to like the video if you are enjoying it so far. But if you are new here, then please do make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's start the commentary with the very first character, Blackbeard. Defending Blackbeard is pretty difficult, I will admit that. But if you hold the trial within One Piece, the chances aren't zero. Not only because he won't actually show up, but because what Blackbeard did can somewhat be seen as community service. He is a pirate that murdered other pirates. A criminal that slims down the number of other criminals is not the worst thing in the world. Things get dicey when you start bringing up that he did capture Kobe. That was completely uncalled for and can't really be defended. But in One Piece, the Marines have a clear code on not going after a Yonko. So strictly speaking, the Marines wouldn't and couldn't prosecute Blackbeard for their own safety, making this trial an open and shut issue. Because no Marine judge would touch this case with a 10-foot pole. So sorry to tell you, but unless another criminal murders Blackbeard, the law can't do anything to him. Look at Dofi. The law couldn't officially do anything against him either until they had no other choices, and after another pirate had already taken him down. Frieza. Let's move on to Frieza now. A more difficult case, but I think I can handle it. I mentioned in my video that Frieza can only be charged by the crimes he committed within the planet the trial takes place in. In this case, Earth, so only the crimes he committed on Earth. And through this, I was able to determine that Frieza hasn't actually done much to Earth when you look back at it. He arrived back in the Android saga. Trunks killed him right then and there, before he could do anything. So the real criminal is Trunks for committing murder on the entire force that arrived. Then Frieza came back again in the Return of F movie and got his ass handed to him and murdered promptly after. There is a slight complication here though. Frieza blew up the planet, but Whis then reverts that, meaning no crime was actually committed here, because Goku proceeded to kill him on the spot, so the crime here is Goku murdering Frieza. But Frieza was gonna blow up the planet. Be quiet, mate. If Goku wanted to stop Frieza, he could have simply knocked him out or incapacitated him in a number of different ways, but instead went for the kill directly. Prosecuting Frieza but ignoring what Goku did here would be incredible bias on your part. Finally, the Broly movie. Frieza did nothing here actually. The damage came from Broly, Goku and Vegeta fighting. Yes, it was Frieza who brought Broly here, but Broly was the one that was doing the attacking. He is an individual and will be tried as one. I saw some people pointing out that Frieza did invade Earth with an army, that did admittedly end up causing some damage to a city and some of the Z-Warriors too. And that could possibly be excused by arguing that the first time Frieza arrived on Earth, he was murdered by a sword-wielding maniac who also sliced up his father's men and his father. So you can't really blame the guy for coming prepared this time, just in case the same maniac was around. And as it turns out, there were more murderous maniacs this time, including the one that murdered him beforehand back in Namek. When you look at the events from a neutral perspective, and from Frieza's side of the story, things suddenly look very different, don't they? As for the murder of Paragus, the only one that saw that was Frieza and Paragus. And Paragus is currently dead. Meanwhile, my client, who saw everything, says that the real culprit is a stray blast, so that's that due to lack of substantial evidence and mostly just circumstantial or presumed accusations without any concrete proof in sight. My client goes free. But we do have evidence that your Z-Warriors committed a lot of crimes on Earth, so if you were to press the matter any further, I have been specifically tasked with prosecuting all of them immediately. So let's move on. Goku Black. When discussing the crimes and sentencing for Goku Black and Zamasu as well, I guess, prosecuting them is harder than defending them in many ways. Not only are both of them literally gods, deities as such, ascended beings that live for billions of years and are in charge of the universe, but they also are extremely strong too. Holding them in court is more applicable if they actually comply than if they didn't, which matters very little since they committed no crimes. Grand Zeno went ahead and erased the entire timeline, which also erased every shred of evidence that can be used against him. Not only that, but even if he did survive, he would have to be tried within the current timeline's Universe 7, and they would still have no evidence because fused Zamasu would literally be the entire universe itself. So he could just decide that the evidence isn't there at all. Again, dealing with gods and such when building a court case is very difficult. Which is why even though Loki committed a lot of crimes in the Avengers movie, Thor had to take him back to Asgard to be tried there. They are the only ones that could handle him properly, and in our case the gods did handle the case. Which brings me to my next point. Did you ever realize that we hate Zamasu for doing the same things that Grand Zeno and Beerus do, but we only ever hate Zamasu and not Grand Zeno or Beerus? At least Zamasu had a valid reason for wiping out humanity. He saw that mortals could not be trusted and went ahead with cleansing the trash, as it were. But Grand Zeno is spiteful with it. He wipes out universes out of boredom. Zeno once looked at the number of universes and decided there were too many and simply downsized them to his liking. And Beerus, whenever he is not sleeping on the job, goes to a planet, tries the local food, and then blasts everyone, or half the planet if they are lucky. Point is, it's hypocritical judging character just because you don't like them, but ignoring the crimes of the other just because you do like them. Nagato/Pain. Now let's talk about Pain, my favorite villain from Naruto. Though calling him a villain is a bit incorrect in this regard, I would say. Like I explained in my video, Nagato's entire life can be summarized with just 2 words: tragedy, pain. That's it. His parents were murdered in times of war as a kid. He also had the Rinnegan implanted in him against his will, and even after spending some years with Jiraiya and the other 2 children, which was the best and only peaceful time in his life, everything else went downhill. Since Yahiko was building the Akatsuki, no, not this Akatsuki, this one right here, the peaceful one, a peacekeeping organization with a bunch of volunteers that only focused on helping people, gaining popularity for being good people. But naturally, misery needs a friend, and Danzo is filled with misery. Fearing the strength that the Akatsuki would bring, he decided to instigate trouble with Hanzo, whose pride and fear of losing power made him break up the Akatsuki and forced Nagato to murder Yahiko, which is what ended up truly awakening the rage and Rinnegan abilities. From here, Nagato taking out Hanzo and his men is nothing if not justified. He did end up taking out everyone Hanzo ever cared about and knew. But the way to defend that is, this was a national coup d'etat right here. A change in regime, as it were, and since Nagato became the ruler of the Rain, he can easily just pardon himself. The Rain ended up living a much more secure life with him in charge anyway. with any enemies coming in being dealt with, shall we say, which later included Jiraiya, who was an illegal spy invading into a village he did not have any permission to enter. He crossed the borders here. What happened to him was not illegal in any way. Try crossing into North Korea and see which country is willing to defend what happens to you. If they even find your body, that is. Darkness aside, the only other major crime after this would be his attack on the Leaf, which people did die, yes. Pain ended up bringing them back to life, all of them actually, in exchange for his own life, even though he owed them absolutely nothing. What about the property damage? Not exactly applicable or punishable this time. The Leaf has done far worse to the Rain. So if you want to bring that up in court, not only will I bring up that this was collateral damage due to warfare, but also that the Leaf and every other village literally used the Hidden Rain as their war zone for years. Damn near burned it to the ground. At the very end, you are going to be left wondering, what exactly are you trying to charge Nagato for? And I will simply tell you that you are wasting your time. Okay, so this part was supposed to be Turbo Granny, but as I'm looking at the script right now, it's completely empty. I completely skipped it and went to Light Yagami. And I'm in a bit of a rush at the moment while recording this, so I can't exactly add it now. I would try to freestyle it, but that's going to end up poorly, so let's just skip to the Light Yagami portion. You know what? This video is already getting really long and I haven't even tackled the bombshell that is Hisoka. So I will speed up the Light Yagami section by telling you that I had no defense here. Both L and Nia figured out that he is guilty, and they also collected irrefutable evidence. Not only that, but I myself, after extensive research, figured out that Light Yagami has no legal loopholes that could save him in court. Morally speaking, he is a monster with a god complex. His end was pretty damn deserved. Finally, Hisoka Morrow. I am going to be walking a very thin rope here called Hear Me Out, so I'm going to ask you to hear me out, folks. The first thing I needed to establish in my original video is that Hisoka is innocent of all murder charges. So I will clarify that here. Now, I'm not saying that Hisoka hasn't murdered people. He has, definitely. What I'm telling you is, he either did it legally or there isn't enough evidence to actually convict him. That's all. Every single person he harmed or murdered in the Hunter's exam was completely legal. You are allowed to do as you wish on those trials. Killua literally ripped a man's heart out and gave it to him, and no one did anything about it. The other significant murder charge is this guy, the Zoldyck family butler, and no one saw this happen, so you would be presuming at best, since no evidence exists that will tie Hisoka to this particular crime. That pretty much concluded all the murder section, really. The other big thing that Hisoka is accused of is being a predator. And while the jokes are extensive and funny, they have been skewed to the point of people forgetting that they are mostly just that, jokes, like how people have started actually believing that Zoro is a racist. Both are funny, but not exactly true. Although you can make a pretty good case for him being a predator, that's for sure. He doesn't do a great job of disproving it. What Hisoka actually is a sociopath and a psychopath. A person who is, without lack for a better term, aroused by the act and concept of fighting. Someone with incredible battle prowess or the potential to gain that extraordinary battle prowess. Gon and Chrollo are perfect examples here. Different ages too. With Chrollo being someone who already has that incredible prowess, and Gon being the person with the potential to achieve that prowess. While yes, the anime and the manga often focuses on the weird bond that Hisoka and Gon have, and this definitely did not paint him in any good light at all. Hisoka never directly performed any predatory acts towards Gon, often focusing on fighting and or helping Gon, and in both instances, those interactions were started by Gon, not Hisoka. Every single time actually, if I'm remembering correctly, Gon was the one driven to fight against Hisoka. And while yes, Hisoka greatly enjoyed these attempts, he was not the one initiating any of them. Even in the Greed Island arc, they went looking for him. They hired him to be on their team, and he helped them win. Granted, he did have this eerily creepy scene right here, but honestly I think it was just him fucking around. They were talking to Bisky about not really trusting Hisoka, and so he decided to remind them that having someone you do not trust walking behind you is a huge mistake. Hisoka then stopped the creepy activity the moment they made him walk in front. basically proving that he was essentially just teaching them a lesson in a very weird way. In his own very weird way, Hisoka was just helping Gon grow stronger this entire time. Granted, the reason he was doing this was so that he could have more fun killing him later, but it's the thought that counts, right? So while it might be controversial to say, Hisoka is pretty much innocent. Sure, you can say that he is a threat to children, and I will argue that he is a threat to anyone he finds interesting. The best way to remedy that is a restraining order. Jail time won't really help anyone. Imagine Hisoka in prison, surrounded by hardened inmates who have spent their entire time in prison being straight up fiends. You would basically have put Hisoka in a vacation. He will vacate the entire prison within a day or so. So just a restraining order, I guess, or ship him off to a far-off island with no return. That likely would be the best, if he doesn't leave the island on his own, that is. Anyway, that will be it for this video. I have been yapping for far too long. I usually put gaming footage at the portion of the videos where I'm talking in the end, but I never actually know which game I will be showcasing until I'm actually, editing the video. My bet is it's either going to be Clash Royale, Minecraft, or Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duels. I will find out when editing, I guess. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace, my friend.